Welcome back to some new r/PettyRevenge stories, where people share small victories over those who wronged them. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now, let's start with the first story. It's called Cake Revenge. I was a semi-professional baker when I met my husband. Not because I planned to be, but because every weekend, friends or family would pay me to make cakes, pies and cookies. My specialties are cheesecakes and cakes with surprises inside. When we moved to his hometown, right before our first Christmas there, I had already gathered all the ingredients for a Christmas cake that was everyone's favorite. I was so excited to make it, and even shared my enthusiasm with his sisters, telling them about the amazing fruits I found from our local farmer. But then they told me not to bother, saying they'd just get a store-bought cake. They do this kind of thing a lot. Only with me though. If one of their friends offers to bring the same thing they'd already turned me down for, suddenly it would be rude to refuse. Well, the store-bought cake that year was rock hard and awful. Even the kids made fun of it and joked about using it to build a bread brick house. Fast forward a few years, and my husband has bragged about my baking so much that my semi-pro kitchen is back in full swing. We often babysit my sisters-in-law's kids, and they love baking with me. Yet, every Christmas, the same store-bought cake makes an appearance at the family gathering, and no one eats it. Yesterday, the family got together to discuss plans for the holidays, as we were all together for a situation involving my in-laws. Since we are hosting Christmas this year, I said I'd take care of all the food and suggested they bring dessert. Immediately, the oldest kid spoke up, asking why we always have to get that awful cake every year, and why I couldn't make something instead. Before I could respond, my husband chimed in, saying, "Well, your mom and aunt prefer the store-bought cake." The kid looked at her mom, then her aunt, then back at my husband, and said, "Well, they can't even cook, so they shouldn't get to decide what we have to eat." I quickly stepped in and shut the conversation down. They really like that cake, and we should respect the traditions that make them feel at home. The next time we watch her, I'm making that kid whatever cake she wants for that fantastic comment. The next story is called Anger Issues. I walked out of my bank's building into the cramped parking lot that's always full. Getting a spot there is just pure luck. As I open my car door, I notice a guy in a truck pulling in through the north entrance. I was parked about halfway between the north and south entrances. I had a few things to sort out before I planned to leave. I started my car and almost immediately I heard a short honk. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw the truck sitting stationary about 5 feet away from my parking spot. I decided to ignore it. Then came a longer honk, honk. Oh great, I thought. Here we go. Still, I didn't budge. After the third round of honks in under a minute, I made up my mind to stay put. But just as I was getting ready to be stubborn, I saw a little Toyota pull in through the south entrance and turn down my lane. At that moment, I reversed out of my spot and squeezed at an angle between the truck's front end and the parking spaces opposite mine. This maneuver left the truck with nowhere to go. I waved the driver of the Toyota into my parking spot. Since she had to come in at an angle, it took her a couple of tries to straighten out her car. Meanwhile, the truck driver was clearly not having a good day. The elderly lady driving the Toyota got out of her car and started walking toward the bank. I could hear the truck driver yelling and honking away in frustration. The lady stopped by my car, leaned into my window and thanked me. She made a comment about the truck driver's apparent anger issues. I laughed and told her to have a great day. As she stood up straight and began walking off, I saw her lift her hand and give the truck driver a confident wave. Her own way of making a statement. It was such a simple but satisfying moment. The third story is called Speed Limit. I was driving along a single carriageway road with a speed limit of 60 miles per hour. And I was doing exactly that. 60 miles per hour. The driver behind me, a middle-aged man, apparently thought this wasn't fast enough. He kept flashing his lights at me continuously, even though there was no safe way for him to pass. I stayed steady at the speed limit. As we approached a roundabout, I noticed a lorry had broken down on the opposite side, blocking traffic behind it. Being the kind of person who likes to help keep traffic moving smoothly, I decided to stop and flash the stuck cars through. While doing this, I checked my rearview mirror and saw the driver behind me waving his arms around, clearly unhappy. He even started honking his horn repeatedly. The more he acted up, the more I let the cars through. In total, I must have let around 20 vehicles pass before there was finally a gap. Anticipating that the impatient driver behind me might try to overtake, I calmly accelerated back up to the speed limit as soon as it was safe. I kept to the speed limit for the next 5 miles, all the while noticing in my mirror that the driver behind me seemed to be getting increasingly frustrated. Safe to say he didn't seem to enjoy the journey, but I carried on with my day just fine. The next story is called Freeloader. This incident happened back in the early 90s with my best friend at the time, Brent. We worked together at American Express, where we weren't making much money, but enjoyed the perks of being in the travel industry. Brent was renting a small house and for a while had a roommate. Unfortunately, the roommate turned out to be a freeloader. Not only did he refuse to pay his share of the bills, but he also ran up a huge phone bill by calling those old 1-900 numbers. When the roommate refused to pay for the phone bill he created, Brent told him it was time to move out. The roommate stormed off, but left all his possessions behind. Brent decided to file a case against him in small claims court, and he won. As they left the courthouse, the roommate told Brent, "I'm not paying you anything, and you can't keep my stuff either." Well, Brent didn't keep the roommate's belongings. Instead, he held a big garage sale and sold all of it. Clothes, electronics and more. In the end, he made much more money from the sale than he was owed from the court ruling. The last story is called Dog Business. We used to live on a dead-end street lined with duplexes, bordered by a cemetery and a small canal that would fill up during the wet season. Classic Pacific Northwest. We were one of only 2 neighbors with dogs. The other dog owner, however, would let his dog roam off-leash, freely doing its business in other people's yards, without ever cleaning up after it. One day, the landlady of that property came over to confront me about the mess in her tenants' yards. I was completely shocked and assured her it wasn't from our dog, who was always leashed or confined to our backyard. When my then husband came home from work, I told him about the confrontation. He told me to go pick up all the poop from our backyard and put it in a trash bag. Once I handed him the full bag, he marched straight to the dog owner's front door and dumped the entire contents right on their doorstep. From that day on, that neighbor made sure to clean up after their dog. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. Also, if you want to support me further, check out the channel membership or Patreon. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.